you? G'day, and welcome back to another episode. We're here in the studio. You better believe it's your boy, the captain of the ship, the man in charge. It is I, Bradley J. Driver, but you can call me Brad because, as you know, if you're a fan of the show, well, I'm a fan of yours. Thank you so much for being here again. Whether you're watching or listening, I'm excited for this one. We've rolled out the new branding. We've got a lot to talk about. That's the name of the show. It's also the reason we're here today, because there's a whole heap of topics and pain points that come with being in your 20s that we're going to stew on, and we're going to share a little bit of a come up, which, you know, I'm about that. I'm on that journey myself, trying to make life happen, trying to fulfill my purpose, aren't we all? And today's guest is on that journey too. He is an absolute musical talent and genius. He is the Northern Beaches boy that's made the trip down to the Gong. He is the head man of Loretta the band, the lead singer, the superstar of the show. So ladies and gentlemen, from your home, your car, or wherever you are, give a very warm welcome to the one, the only, Mr. Ellis Hall. How are you, brother?
I'm good, but that's probably the coolest intro I've ever got in my life.
Bro,
so.
we freestyle it here.
What a great start.
And you deserve it. You deserve it, bro. So every guest deserves a great intro. You
that.
Especially. Blessed to have been able to watch your little journey from afar. You know, I will say we've got a few people in the live audience today here in the HQ. When you think of that, you may think that this room is packed, and it is because it's small.
It is packed for how big the room is.
The size of the room, it's packed. We're like sardines in here, just getting all cozy.
For sure.
We've got my boy Vids over in the corner, who is the mutual connection.
That's going to get so dated so quickly, so we'll know when we're recording
By the time people hear this,
they're like, oh, that was obviously recorded back then.
Yeah. He's hooked us up here, and he's the mutual connection. So, you know, grateful for Bids. We've also got the new fella in town. Woo! He's rolled in. He's got the camera in hand. He's taken stills. He's going to be on that vlog journey with me. His name's Liam, but we call him the Duff Man.
The Duff Man.
The Duff Man.
Like that one. That's
so,
cool.
good man. And blessed to have him here. But I'm keen to dive into your story, bro. You're doing some really cool things. First time, I always sort of stew on the first time I ever heard of a guest, or the first time I ever come across them.
Let's do that.
And for me, it was obviously the first time I was sort of told about you and started to hear the stories.
I want to know what was said. Was he talking smack?
No, he was like, fuck, dude, I think you'd went to watch you play in the Northern Beaches somewhere, and he was like, fuck me, I watched one of Stell's mates, Stell's Bid's girlfriend. I'm sure you've seen it on Instagram.
they definitely have.
You wouldn't be hearing it here.
Everyone's seen it on Instagram.
I think they were watching you play somewhere at a gig.
It was at the Newport, and it was a scorcher of a day. And I think I played a gig last night, so I was knackered as well, or I had a gig beforehand. And Zach just never met him before. Just rocks up. He's got his like classic little like the leather slides on, like the rich dude slides. You know what I'm talking about? And then he rocks up. He's like, bro, you want some water? Do you want some water? I can get you some water. I'll get you some water. He got me like 2 jugs of like ice water. And I was like, dude, this guy's an absolute G. And that was it. It was honestly as far as it went from there, and it's been like just clicking ever since.
Well, I heard the good stories when he got home back to the Gong, you know, and he said great things. And it was actually funny because my mum had messaged me and goes, I don't know where, because my mum follows all the crew on socials, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, you got it, dude.
You better believe that Di's going to give you 2 blue love hearts. Yeah, she's the hype queen of Insta,
Love
right?
that.
And she goes, I don't know who Bids was watching play on the weekend, but God, he was good, really talented.
Well, thank you to
And then
Mum.
so I started hearing the stories, and obviously you're incredible at what you do. I'd actually heard one of your songs before they told me, because I think one morning we'd been for a walk, and I said, play me some of his music, and Stell's played me some songs, and it was... Can't remember the exact name of it, but it was the intro piece is like, it's so easy for me to remember. And I was like, I've heard that all over Insta before. I'll have to get my phone
come close to you, come over running time. Like, would have been, because of you and Stella, I would have said, would have been like the more recent.
Yeah, I'll tell you which one it was.
Yeah, because that would have been a bit like previous.
Yeah, because man, it was so, to me, it was so like, I was like, fuck, I've heard that before. And you've got very good music.
Thank you, bro.
What would you describe your music as?
Someone actually, we played a gig at the Vanguard, I think like on Thursday last week, and they said it was a perfect combination between nostalgic and modern. Modern pop, and I was like you feel like you've heard it before, but it still feels new.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was like off on a tangent and like saying who it sounds like the 1975 and blah blah whatever, And then she was like, oh no, it sounds like the perfect combination between like nostalgic but like familiar. And I was like, that's a really great way to describe our music. And like some stranger who I hadn't met could describe it better than I could. So that's what I'd probably fall into the category of like, it's familiar to you, but like you don't know it yet because you haven't heard it before. But like you're like, oh, I could think back to a time like this just feels comfortable to listen to, and like it could be like the start of a memory that you don't even know you have yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's often hard to describe what you do.
It is. It really is.
Like for me, even to sit down when I rebranded this show, and I was like, what am I really good at? And I was like, oh, I kind of don't know. Like I do a lot. I talk about a lot of things. Like what is my thing? Yeah. And someone said to me, well, your vulnerability is like the thing that's best about your show. And even when I had Liam in here yesterday, and I was like, what do you like about the show? Because Liam heard the show many episodes, like probably a year ago. And he's like, I just liked how raw and honest it was. And I was like, well, maybe that's my thing. And I think that's what ultimately has led to the rebrand, is like discovering who you are and owning your lane. And you're obviously doing very well at that.
Trying to, that's the plan. No,
so where did this all begin? Because for anyone in the music space, like, you know, I had a fucking good crack on the way home from a haircut this morning in the car, just jamming to a few tunes.
Blasting it out.
And every now and then, it's different for you because you can sing. But I don't know if like anyone listening or watching, like every now and then you're having a crack. And I love like music. The music has to be loud. I don't give a fuck who's watching.
Yeah, I feel that.
I'm like, I'm just charging. And every now and then, if I feel like I'm feeling myself a little bit, I'll just mute it and keep going.
And kind of like really go for it.
That sounded so
like,
much
bro,
better
I'm
with the
so good. I'm so good.
And then I'm like, maybe I'm going to surprise myself. You know, Ed Sheeran, he started late, you know what I mean? Like he come up late. I'm like, maybe I'll surprise myself. I haven't surprised myself.
Yeah, not to this, not just yet. Yeah, there's still time. Everyone's still got time.
Bro, I'm only 25. I'm young in this. I'm young in this.
I guess the starting point would have been, So I was, I was never very good at school. I hated it. I have severe learning disabilities. Like I'm not good at it. I just didn't want to be in school. I didn't understand why I didn't want to be in school. I just didn't. Yeah. So I tried like every other avenue outside of school, like gymnastics, karate, like any sport, soccer, football, like hockey, literally just like anything to do with like physical activity and stuff like that. At this point in my life, I had no idea I could sing. I was just kind of trying to figure out what I was doing. I was very young. I started gymnastics when I was 5, and I then went to become a national gymnast for I think like 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so like just, you know what I mean? And then I was I think I was like 12 or 13 years old, and I just did it, and I wasn't like in love with it anymore because I was just like, I was doing 20 hours a week from like,
becomes a bit of a chore.
It was 20 hours a week of my life, and I was just like, what am I doing? You wake up so early, you're like, what is this? And it was great at the time, and it was a massive like learning curve for me. But then I was still in my primary school days, and I was the choir captain of my school.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and I was like no one's like, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be a musician out of this. I was just like, I could hold a pitch or a tune, and I was just singing along, and then I became a choir captain, and I was like sick. And then I got told to leave gym because I wasn't focused enough anymore, and like that's they want people that are taking it seriously, and I'd done my however long I did it for. I was like, nah, screw this. And then my mum put me into like a performing arts school, like dancing, singing, acting, that kind of thing. Pleo Grove and Shuffle, shout out. You know, and I was just like, I didn't like dancing. I hated it. It was just, I don't know why, but it was so, with gymnastics, it's so, you have to do this exact, you know what I mean? Like, and like with everything, like pointed toes, arms out, there's no room for, creative flair. I feel you just have to like follow what they set out for you. With dancing, it's like do what you want, like in time with everyone else. And I was like, nah, this is not for me. And there was a singing teacher upstairs. His name was Simon. He's an absolute G. He was my singing teacher for ages. And I think that was the point when I started doing singing lessons. I think that was the point where I was like, yo, like this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. Like I just felt so happy. And like, because you could just like express how you feel, and like people could understand you with the way you're expressing yourself. Yeah. Which is huge.
Yeah, it's what life's about. I think there's a guy that I really like listening to and reading up whatever he puts out content wise. His name's Naval Ravikant, and he's like you'd call him a modern day philosopher, but he's a tech investor.
All right.
And there you go. One of the things I love that he said on Rogan's podcast, and shout out to the little brother Rogan, you know what I'm saying? He said that in the modern world where technology and robotics is becoming so advanced, he hopes that one day there is a world where we all get to be creatives for a living. And I think that would be so cool because you know the joy you get from being creative and that expression. For me, I love what I do because I get to tell a story
100%.
and share the story of others and uncover that. And there's something really special about that.
Yeah.
When you get your opportunity to go out and share what you have with the world. And that's why I'm always like really inspired by someone like yourself who's on that journey, because it's not easy, but it's very rewarding if you stick at it.
Big time. Like, like the feeling that you get when you're playing to like people that want to be there and are in it is just like, you could not buy that feeling. Yeah. I feel like it's just you're on stage and you just have everyone is there, like just wanting to be there, wanting to have a good time, and you get to just give that to people, and that's such a cool feeling. Like it's hands down the best feeling. For
you, that journey then led to X Factor. I've seen videos of
big time. So
the fresh face, Ellis. So young, man. How old were you then?
So first time I did X Factor, I was 14 years old. Wow. Yeah, so I was in a group, and like that was cool. Like it was, I think just that whole journey was such like because I was so young, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like, to be honest with you, I was just kind of, you think when you're that age, it's the right thing to do because everyone's doing it. And you're like, oh, like X Factor's Voice, that's the only way to go, like get exposure, get what you need to do. But like, obviously I wouldn't change it because it's led me to where I am now. Yeah. But like, had I had a bit more hindsight, I probably maybe would have waited until a bit older to capitalize on it a little bit better. Yeah. But the first time I went on, I was 14 years old. I was put into a group. We did really well. We got to the top 24. And then we didn't get through again. And then I went on it again by myself. I got put into another group. Yeah. We got to top, I think, 11 or 10 or whatever. And then that was that. And then I did The Voice. And I think I got to like top 20 or something like that. And I was just like, obviously, I just like, I don't know, it just wasn't it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it just wasn't it wasn't what I wanted to do necessarily. It's just something that I thought I needed to do. Does that make sense?
It's an exposure thing, isn't it? Really,
and I'm really grateful for the exposure to the platform that I was able to use from that. Do you know what I mean? But now with what I'm doing with the Loretta boys, like it's just something that's so, not much. I would say much better. It's just it's like I get to create the music with my boys, and we get to put in our shows, and people come to watch us. Yeah. Do you know, like one of the proudest moments of my life so far was the first show we ever played. We sold out. Yeah, which is like that was huge. So like we were, you know, when you have a party and you invite, you know what I mean, and you invite your friends and you're like, fuck, is anyone gonna come? Is anyone gonna rock up to my party? And you're sitting there and it hits the time you've set, and then an hour later everyone rocks up, whatever. Yeah, it was literally that feeling, but 10 times worse because you're like your heart's pumping out of chest because you got to perform, you got to make sure everyone rocks up as well. We got to the point where it was like 150 cap room and we had like 180 to 200 people in the room because they were just like trying to get in the door, which was just the coolest feeling ever. Like to come and listen to your own music that you created with like your best mates is just it was second to none, you know. And like just so having the experience on the Voice and X Factor, it just taught me what is more important. Yeah. And what I want to do rather than the lessons I've learned from that. It was a great experience. I learned how to handle myself in like publicity and blah blah whatever. It was really cool. But in regards to music and like what I want to do is just where I am now, which is just such a great arc for me that I feel that I've gone on.
So can I ask, because I remember seeing your X Factor second audition.
The one where I played 18. Yeah.
And you spoke about in that when the judges asked you what you'd done in that year since being on the show. You started busking a lot. You were playing around Manly and Northern Beaches a lot. You obviously went on. Was that solo that you were playing that just like busking? Yeah. And you still do a bit of solo stuff busking now?
Yeah. I gig like back before COVID. I was doing 6 to 7 days a week just gigging, straight gigging. Wow. And then on the school holidays, because that's just the best time to go, I would busk pretty much every day if I could, and then gig in the night time. Yeah. So that was for me. That was just like you got to do your 10,000 hours of just of work. Do you know what I mean? Like because you know you it's just imperative you just know your shit back to front. You know, I could now do like my just solo set with my eyes closed, just because I know what I'm gonna do. Do you know what I mean? But like, I literally have like tattooed onto the back of my arm the coordinates of the place that I play. In Manly, so literally just like that's my spot. Like I love it, and I've been playing that. I'll play there until I get too old, where it's weird. But like, but you know. So I just think in that time I was just practicing and I was just getting better.
So for you, like leaving third reality series, what was the decider to go, I'm going to go back into a group, but make them own? Like, was there a thought that, do I go solo with this? Were you mates with the boys beforehand, or was that a seek and sort of like create experience?
So that's a really good question, actually. So I was very much in the mindset of like, nah, like I don't want to have to rely on anybody else.
Yeah.
Because if I can just do it myself, then I'm the only one that's going to fail.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm the only one that's going to succeed or fail with what I'm doing. So I don't have the pressure of having to put that trust on someone else.
Yeah.
Which is really hard, because it's just like you're in a relationship with someone. Effectively, that's what it is. You're a business partner. You're in a friendship as well, which is something you have to juggle. But lucky for me, I went to so throughout my schooling career, I went to Northern Beaches Christian School, which you can't see it, but for me it was a huge flop. There were some amazing teachers that just kind of pushed me in the direction I wanted to go, but there was nothing for me there. They were just very academic, and I really didn't enjoy my time there. Really didn't like school. Mum and Dad were like, because I would have probably quit had it not been for the opportunity to go to AIM, Australian Institute of Music, which was great. I was just in my peep. I was in my zone. I got to perform for like, there was a thing called concert prac every Friday. We just get to sit down. You get to watch people perform. You get to critique what they do. It was amazing. Like it was such a cool experience. I was like, yo, this is sweet. So Max, Daryl, and Nico are the boys in my band. So I've known Max since I was 15.
Yeah.
Same with Nico and same with Daryl. We all went to high school together. Nico was in the year below us, and he was friends with Max, and Daryl was friends with Max as well. I was kind of like, we weren't not mates, but I was just friends with a bit of an interesting human being beforehand. He left the school, and then we ended up all becoming mates towards the end. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, cool. So yeah, it was just a really cool kind of coming together of like they were the absolute best in their field. Like Max is just like the most incredible guitar player. Same Nico, just like producer, videographer, drummer, bassist, keyboard player, like guitarist as well. Like there's literally nothing that kid can't do. And then Daryl's just like, he's literally wanted by everyone to play drums for him. He's like amazingly talented as well. Like I'm just very lucky to work with those boys.
That's it.
Yeah, hard out.
So you created like your little fucking Avengers crew.
Literally, we are the Avengers of the northern beaches of your city.
So you've been how long together as a band now?
We've been together for 2 years now.
2 years.
Yeah.
Where does the inspo for the music come from? Obviously, it's very like, you've got a cool vibe and you talk a lot about what a bit of this pod's about, like being in your 20s, like that life.
Yeah, just what's the word I was looking for? It was no, it's when it's full on straight over the back of my head. Now I just want to say what it is. It's like coming of age. Boom.
Yes,
there you go. Don't know why that was so hard to say, but that's what I was looking for. I guess it's just like, we write a lot about, I guess where the music comes from in the beginning is like, it's how the process of how we write a song. So whether it be Max comes up with like a little, he'll send me like a file of some music that we listen to. If I like the vibe, I'll come up with some lyrics, or Nick is like, hey man, listen to this, what do you think? Or I'll come up with like a little melody coming over that. But effectively, we'll all come together and we'll write about we'll just get inspiration from a lot of the music that we like to listen to. Yeah. Like 1975 is a very, very big part of our I guess our growing up as music. But in regards to that, I guess I just draw from my life and my friends' lives. Just because we're all in one way or another going through the same shit, but just differently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, that's the fucking podcast blurb to a T. Bro, we are, because we're all experiencing the exact same pain points, challenges, hurdles in our 20s, especially in our 20s. It's such a formative part of life. That coming of age is leaving school, leaving study.
Big time.
What the fuck am I supposed to do with myself? What's my purpose? How do I achieve it? Yeah. How do I create healthy relationships? Aren't I supposed to find the love of my life? Figure that out, all the disasters and dysfunctional dates that come in between. I've had a few of them.
Tell us about
it. And bro, there's not many great stories to tell you. I've told a few, but and that's just part of being in your 20s, and it's fucking fun, and it's nice to be able to share that. And here we go. Bids is behind the camera.
Bids is on the camera now.
Bids is our stuff man for a chance,
The Instagram.
Yeah, the Instagram by
himself. Yeah, literally, Look at him.
Yeah, bro, and I think that's what makes music really relatable. I was speaking about this morning, so Drake just gets named Artist of the Decade.
Yeah.
And I love Drake. I'm a big Drake fan. And I was talking to my barber, who's also been on the pod, cool little business story behind him, Dan Tosky, and we were talking about what makes him so great. And I think it's because he's not from like the US. Like he just put out a video the other day after being Artist of the Decade. It was like, everyone said there's no way there can be a hip hop talent from Canada. Like, that's not going to work. That's not going to happen. That's not going to... And then here we are, and I think we relate to it being Aussies because it's like, well, people say the same thing about here.
Yeah, big time.
They say, well, this isn't the big leagues, this isn't the US. You can't make it from here, but we're lucky we live in a world where you can. And like, talk to me about being in 2021 and the beauty of that and the technology and the things you have access to. How has that changed music?
It's a really good question. I guess so. Having the access to what we do, like the studios that we have, the people we get to be in contact with is just tenfold to what we didn't have before. Like Nico, so he's our producer. He's also the keys and guitar player in our band. You know, he has a studio underneath his house, which is just like huge. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a really, really good studio. You know what I mean? So we're in there. Like, have you been there?
Is that the photos that I've seen with the cars and the
yeah.
I said to Bid the other day, I was like, where the fuck is that place that they're always hanging out? Because I'm like,
undisclosed location.
Yeah. No live location.
But yeah, we can't like send people the address because of like what's in there. But
yeah,
like, you know,
100%.
so
But it's a cool vibe.
It's a really cool little place to be. Like, you know, just having a person like Nico that's just unbelievably talented and has access to all that has just like changed the game for us especially with like the way we work and like how we want to put out our music and present our music. Like, you know, when me and Nico and the boys, like, we'll do like 15-16 hour studio days where it's just like we could release something that just is good but like isn't like you know what I mean, like it's good but it's just not where it needs to be. So we'll like Nico will spend like hours, and we have now the resources to do this.
Yeah.
Hours and hours and hours just spending like doing vocal takes or trying to get the right thing, just because you want to be so proud of what you can put out. And then because we're so proud of it and so excited about it, like we put a bunch of money to it for advertising and stuff, and then we get to perform shows and do all the stuff as a result of how like the energy we put into this music to begin with. And then like, you know, getting help from like our friends that are on board because they're excited about our stuff as well, like Indy, Stella, Zach and all that stuff, and doing the music videos, which it's just such a cool little group that we have now because of social media that I don't think we would have had. Do you know what I mean? As a result of the product that we're creating. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100% it does. 2 questions. First question. How much does Bid's head hurt the ratings?
Oh, dude. I mean, we think we might have to quit now because of Zach.
That's a shame.
Yeah, so thanks everyone. But we have to retire because of Zach, so.
Serious question, and this is something that for me is super relevant right now. Like we said before, this journey of being like a creator or a musician in your case, or someone who is just telling stories in one way, shape or form,
big time.
It is not easy to begin with. Before there are big contracts and big labels and everything involved, there are tough times.
Yeah.
And I'd be really interested to hear about your journey. Like how do you go through those tough times where the money isn't always comfortable? There's challenges that present themselves. Like, has there ever been that thought in the back of the head, like maybe this isn't it, and maybe this isn't the time, or has it always been steadfast?
So I think that's another great question. So in regards to the tough times, I think it's just, so there's like 3 things come to my mind when you ask that question. So the first thing would be the having to get good at performing, having to put yourself out there and like really like understand that singing and playing is one thing, performing is a completely other different thing. I'll never forget. So I used to busk at Woolworths at Mona Vale, just up in the Northern Beaches. I didn't have an amp. I didn't have anything. I just had me and my little guitar. So you couldn't really hear me sing, and I kind of wanted that. My dad one day went to the music shop and he bought me an amp. I cried. I full on broke down into tears. Like, I don't want people to hear me. Like, I was just like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just so afraid of what people might think. And this is back when like I hadn't really found my feet yet, you know. And so and I'll never forget that. Now you can put me on a stage in front of however many people, and I was just like, I will give it my absolute all. Do you know what I mean? So like overcoming that is just such a final anecdote for me to think back on, because it's like I am not that person now, but just a lot of growth from then to now.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear.
Do you know what I mean? So like, you know, like I wasn't always as confident as I am in regards to playing, but I just made myself get good at it.
Yeah.
And then the next thing in regards to the harder times and like, you know, money and that, and would be, I mean, not less money, but it's more like, you know, as I say, like I gig a lot.
Yeah.
Like I play by myself a lot. And some of the gigs I do are just like, I may be playing to 2, 3, 4 people on a good day at that particular venue. And you're sitting there and you're like, I've just played a show in front of 300 and something people, or I've just played a show in front of X amount of people. It doesn't matter how many people are there, but like, it's just the energy levels that are there. And now I'm sitting in the corner of a restaurant playing to like no one, and it hits you like, fuck, like, you know, like that's when you got to be like, you got to go back into why you're doing it in the first place. And
let's stop there for a second and dig into that. What is the why?
The why is, I guess, the feeling that you get to create and to give people, and what it gives you back. So before I knew what that was, because I'd perform, I didn't really get it. Like, because I was just doing it, like, because when I was an X Factor, I wasn't really doing my hard yards then. I was just kind of flowing with what was happening. But when I started gigging and understanding the power and understanding of what it can actually make people feel, like you get to dictate how someone's night is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're out with your friends and they're like, fuck, that guy was sick. That was the best night for me. And they had the best time. You leave them with an experience they'll remember for however long. And to be able to, like, for people to be like, yo, that was such a fun night. Thank you so much for that. Like, you really made me like feel something. It's just like, you get to give that to someone. You get to give them, like, without even them really knowing or you knowing, like, you get to just perform your little heart out and give them that, which is such a cool feeling. I feel just be able to
100% it is,
to be able to, like, to give, like, just to be able to give your what you've learned to do to then make other people have a good time about it. I think that's a really cool thing to be able to do.
I love that. And I think we're so blessed now that you'd get a lot of that really kind feedback and those great vibes back through socials. People who
seriously, literally through Instagram. Like, every time I play at like a particular venue for VCs in Bondi, you don't get to look at me. This guy's fucking trolleyed. You know, like, just people message me like, yo, like that, like, you made my night. Like, I had such a fun time. Like, you're incredible. Like, all that stuff. It's just so nice to be able to just hear back from people, which if you didn't have social media, I wasn't on it, you wouldn't necessarily get it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't gig because I want feedback from other people of how good that I am. I gig just because I know that it's what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Man, I love how, I think, you know, one thing that I sent an episode around to a few of the boys, not of my podcast, of another great podcast, The Imperfects. Shout out to the boys down in Melbourne. And they had a fella, Ben Crow, on. Now, I've been in conversation with his team because we're very hopeful, touch wood, that we get him in the studio next year early.
Yeah, right.
And Ben Crow is a mindset guy. His job at Nike was to build athlete stories, but more importantly, help them understand what their purpose is and the journey to fulfill it. And one thing that I love is he really spoke about the importance of purpose and, like, how to set that up and the mind frame. And we're speaking in our crew amongst it, like, chatting about that topic. And I think a lot of people confuse goals with purpose. You know, goals are measurable by time and by certain achievement levels and should ultimately lead to the purpose. Yeah. But I don't think you ever fulfill the purpose. I think you're always in pursuit of it, and it changes, and it's that underlying thing that makes you get out of bed in the morning. Excuse me, I was going a bit Clooney on you there. Fuck, I've been doing that a lot
makes
lately.
Me get
makes you get out of bed in the morning just like pumped.
Yeah.
And another guy I love, Isaac John, Ice, he's been on the show. He speaks about how do you feel in that first 5 seconds that you wake up in the morning, and, like, what are those things running through your head? And and for me, I'm like, for so long I was uninspired. Yeah. I was actually uninspired and employed, opposite the boys down in Kiama. Where I was walking into an office every day. Yeah. And I just didn't love what I did anymore. Yeah. Like, I couldn't understand why I was walking in there. It was literally, it felt like an obligation. It was a paycheck.
Like, you had to. Like, you didn't love it. You were just there.
And I think, having found that now and feeling like my role is to share story and have some sort of impact in people's lives, it's the most inspirational feeling in the world, where you feel like this is what you're here for. Yeah, but it's so hard to find that.
It is. Like,
do you feel blessed that you have?
I honestly do, man. Like, I know a lot of my friends, like my really close mates, that just, like, are just doing a job for the sake of having money. You know, like, sometimes it gets hard, like, in regards to my paychecks don't necessarily come in all at the same time. Yeah. but like I know I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
You know, and like I hope for anyone, like, just, you know, when they're like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, like, you will find it eventually. Whether it's now, whether it's 5 years, whether it's 10 years, whether you're 12 or not, you will eventually find what you love to do, and then make that your goal, make that your drive. Like, yes, you may have to just slug it out for however many years trying to figure out what it is, but there's going to be a point where you're like, yo, like, I found something I want to do. That's when you're like, hey, let's go, let's do it. Because like, you're not meant to be here to work a 9 to 5. You're not meant to be here to just slave and like go to work every day, wake up, go to the gym, go home, sleep, wake up, go to the gym, do that. You're not. That's not why you were put on this planet. I feel you're meant to do it to live it.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you read much?
No, I'm incredibly dyslexic, so I haven't read a book since I was 10, 11, maybe.
Well, I don't have an excuse as to why I'm not reading much.
I mean, like, yeah,
but,
I'm just terrible at it.
I wish I was better at sitting down and like focusing, but I did read one book that I love, and I've read it twice. It's called The Alchemist, and there's a quote in The Alchemist that says, "A person's only real obligation in this life is to find their purpose and just relentlessly pursue it."
Yeah,
and I
big time.
fucking love that so much.
I mean,
it's something I live by.
I just literally back that 100%. Like, you know, like, go until you find something you're passionate about, and then don't stop till you get that. I would say.
What's the journey look like from here on out? Like, if you could cast yourself forward, or you know,
predict.
Predict what the future looks like, or not even predict. If you could fucking write it down on a piece of paper right now and, you know, bring it to existence, what would the journey look like?
That's a really good question. I think
I'm glad you're vibing the questions.
Yeah, dude, just great questions.
Otherwise, I'd not be very good at my job.
This would be a shit podcast. You don't get questions. I think I truly believe what I'm doing with the Loretta boys now is the way that it's gonna go for me. Like, I did a solo for a while, and like, touching point on the back before, like, when I had to put trust in other people, I was very reluctant to do that. But like, I know these boys got my back. Like, I know they're in this with me, like, till it fizzles out, or till it blows up, or whatever it does. But I just know that what we're doing now, like, the energy we have about it, the drive that we all have for it, I feel like this is the ticket for me.
Yeah.
Just because of, like, you know, you get to be surrounded, like, you're hanging out with your best mates pretty much every other day. You get to create music, you get to play, and you know, when, as I was saying, like, you know how I was playing the shows, and it's great, but now I get to experience that with 4 other people. They feel the same way. They're on the same stage as you. You get to vibe off with them, and you get to talk about how much fun that was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You get to share the experience and share the journey, which was just something I couldn't see the opposite side of for a while. I was like, oh, like, solo, I don't have to rely on anyone, don't have to focus on anybody else. I just can follow myself, and if I make a mistake, that's on me. But like, now I'm with these boys, and they're just like, yes, they're incredibly talented. Yes, they're good at what they do. But to be able to share that experience with someone, to be able to, like, to laugh, like, the amount of the better friendship I have with them because of it is just something that I didn't think that I have, but I'm so grateful that I do have. And then just going now from where we are to like what we can achieve, I feel like there's no really cap on what is possible for us. I just know that all we have to do is just keep creating good music, keep driving, keep persisting, keep doing shows, and just keep getting out there. And eventually, I don't know how long it'll take, but I know if we keep doing it, we'll get there.
And when you enjoy the journey, it doesn't really matter how long it takes, right? Like,
big time.
That's the beauty of it.
Big time.
That's something I've learned, is to take that stress off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Of like, because when I set out to start this, I was like, fuck, I want to be a charting podcast in a year. Well, like, we're 14 months on now, and I'm not a top 10 podcast in the country. So I'm like, I'm still gunning for that. And it's like, it's
and eventually
okay.
you'll get there.
It'll get there.
You just have to keep doing it.
That's it.
Because the only way you'll ever fail is if you quit.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Jonah Sullivan. Fucking listen to that, boy.
Yeah.
Get into that. I want that on my fucking Instagram stories.
Well, I mean, so my mum and dad are like motivational speakers as well.
Yeah.
So dad does a lot of that. So like, although I didn't read the self-help books, my life was pretty much just a self-help life.
Yeah.
Like, dad was just like, yo, like, whatever you do, like, in regards to when I was doing gymnastics or whatever it was at the time, my dad was like, I don't care what you do with your life. I just care that you put 110% into whatever you do.
That's fucking such great advice.
Seriously, because it's just like, and I said, and it will support you every step of the way. I just need you to be in it, and I need you to want to do it for you and no one else.
How beautiful is that, man?
Yeah. The reason I am the way I am is because of my mum and dad.
It's the same with me, man. I'm very similar to that. Like, the love I have for my family and my parents is indescribable.
Yeah.
Like my dad, my mum and my sister are my world. And to hear you say that, I relate with that so much. One question I'll ask on the flip side though is, so many of you who are listening to this have asked me, or watching this, shout out to the YouTube crew as well, it's been a common question is, how do you get your parents to support you when you leave consistency, a job, security, pay, everything that, because it's not that parents don't support you at times, it's that they worry for you, right? They want you to be safe. But I can't thank my parents enough for saying, if you believe in this and this is what you love and this is what you're passionate about, do it and we'll support you every step of the way. But for the people that are maybe on the other side of this pod and they're like, man, I wish I had that. I'm butting heads with my parents a little bit. You know, would you have any advice for them?
Look, like, I genuinely probably wouldn't be the person to ask because I was just unbelievably lucky with how much support they gave me with everything. But I'd say on the flip side of that, if your parents aren't necessarily supportive of what you do, I think if you believe and if you think that's the right thing for you, and if you're sold out to the idea and the dream, nothing should stop you, not even your parents.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, you keep doing it and you start to succeed because you're putting everything you have into it. They'll come around. But I just think my heart goes out to people that necessarily don't have the support from their parents, and how lucky I am. It's just like, you know, if you believe in it, just give it your absolute 110% because you never know unless you try, you know?
You know, I love that. And actually, I've just come up with an idea. If you're sitting there listening to this or watching this and you're thinking, that's me, send us a message on Insta and I'm going to gash you up on my stories. Let's get a little, I'm going to get a little trend of just people pursuing their dreams and doing their thing. Actually. Like, and I'm going to share it around. I like that. I'm vibing with that. I want to dive into, this has been beautiful main piece of conversation, but as you know, the show's rebranded, which means new areas of the show. We're tasting, we're testing. You're actually here. For those of you listening, you won't see, but we're still in the booth. We're in the booth, right? And we're in the booth, and this will be the last episode in the booth, I believe, because the studio's getting a renovation. This one. And so when you watch this in the episodes following, there'll be what we call Confessional Corner, where we ask the guests the big questions and answers. And I'm not talking about the one-worders or the one-sentence answer, wrap it up. We're talking about the deep and meaningfuls, where the wisdom comes through, where we get to the crux of a problem and maybe we share the guest solution. But I'm no expert. Ellis would probably put his hand up and say he's not either. I would agree. But we're going to roll into it. So, Bid's put his hand up and said he's an expert. The expert.
Of course he does. Look at him. What a penis.
So good. So we're here. So I'm going to go roll the little Q&A intro, but Bump, you'll hear a bit of music.
No, there's probably no swiping.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to go. I think we're going to get game show vibes. So
all right, love that too.
That'll roll in the middle here. And Ellis is in the hot seat here today, and I've got the 5 questions for him. The first one being, what story will your future autobiography tell?
Damn, that's what story? I think what I'd like it to say, is just he just put everything he had into chasing his dream.
I love that.
Yeah.
Simple, but fucking powerful. That's
what it would be like. I think if I could have it read anything like and all the stuff it would say, but just like he just sold out to a dream. I think that's what I would want it to say.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Number 2, we talk about gratefuls a lot.
Lock it in, Eddie.
Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Question 2, we talk about gratefuls and counting our blessings a lot. I think that's one of the amazing things about 2021. I think people are starting to express what they're grateful for. But actually shout out to my boy Bids, because he asked a question the other day at Sunrise Crew that I really like. So I'm rolling it into the pods.
All right.
He said, why don't we share one grateful, but what we're going to do here today is to share one thing we love about ourselves, a bit of self-love,
All right.
A bit of self-appreciation.
I like that.
What's one thing you love about yourself?
I think that I try to help in any way that I can. If you see someone, drop something on the street, like papers or money or anything, like you don't have to do it, but like if you can just make someone's day a little bit easier for them, I think that would, I genuinely try to do that as much as I can. So just to help people. I think I like that about myself, is I try to just help people.
I think that's a really good point. Another shout out to another incredibly wise person, Jay Shetty, who talks about spending half the day in service of yourself, but more importantly, half the day in service of others. And I like that. That's what that's about, helping people, being a good person.
Yeah.
Karma and gratitude just pays dividends in the long run. So be that person. If
someone like asks for directions or like just needs your help in a regard, like obviously, discerningly, but like just doesn't take any time off your back, doesn't affect you in any way for you to just help them. Because 100%. And I hope if you would ask someone else, they repay that back, is how I look at it.
Yeah. Question number 3, something that I think most people would be able to relate to. Have you ever had your heart broken? If yes, explain how you are helping it heal, or how you helped it to heal.
That's a fucking great question. No, I haven't. But I feel like if this relationship I'm in now fails, then yes, I will.
Yeah, because you got a lovely partner.
I do. She's literally the love of my life. She's the coolest person you'll ever meet. My best friend in the entire world. She's from Norway.
Give her a little gas up.
What's up, Saga? I love you. She's literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. We were mates before we started dating, which was a first for me, and then now like have this amazing relationship that I didn't think you could have. Like, how do you go from being friends to being in a relationship, which I didn't think was possible, but here we are. And she's just literally the coolest chick like ever. Like, I'm so grateful to be with her. But I think if we were to she were to go back home, or like we had to break up, I think that's when my heart would probably break.
Yeah.
Which is sad to think about, but like that's some of the real shit you actually have to think about. You know what I mean? Because she's got family, she's got everything back home. Like I got me here, she's got work and a bunch of friends, but it's never going to be home. So I think if that would be the time for it to happen, it'd probably be my heart would break probably then, if that makes sense. Because it hasn't happened yet, but like it's gonna suck if it does.
Fuck, that's a love story we didn't know we needed.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's good to hear that. I think that's so important, and you said something before, you spoke about the boys in the band, right? And Loretta and that group and that opportunity to share that success and those amazing times together. Another shout out to Ben Crow, the guy we were talking about before. And he speaks about how it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, or where you are in your life. We all need others' help.
Big time.
I think we all need others along on that journey with us. And, a significant life partner or someone you're in love with is maybe the best person to do life sick. With, right?
She comes to all of my gigs, like the one she can come to, and she's just there for me and asks me about how it all goes, and just, a lot of people just see like, I guess, one version of me.
Yeah.
She sees like all sides of me, which is really cool, and she just knows me, like she knows I'm a huge weirdo, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and not many other people, like my mates do, but like not many other people would, and it's just really cool to be able to have that in someone, I feel.
Wait, how good is that though? Like, I was actually talking the other day, like I've been watching a lot of content lately, right? And I love seeing people who have that confidence to be the biggest fucking weirdo
Dude,
on camera,
dead set.
or like on screen. I reckon it's great.
Yeah, bro. No, I feel you. Like, I feel like in real life, like I try and just be a genuinely like nice person, but like at home, and it's just like me and Zach, like we're the weirdest people, and it's so fun. It's so much fun just to be.
It's funny. I was saying to my sister, because we were talking about content, and I was like, I feel like there's this chick that I've been watching, Emma Chamberlain, right? And I had a heap of girls say, go watch this chick's YouTube channel. She's funny as, and it's because she's so real and raw. She's the biggest weirdo in the comfort of the home. Yeah. But she just shares that with 12 million people on YouTube, right? And I was thinking, I said to my sister, I was like, fuck, could you imagine if people seeing like us growing up at home? We are the weirdest.
It'd be funny though, do you know what I mean?
So
that'd be content for days.
I wish there was just like cameras around the house, because it would have been that funny.
Big time.
And that's what makes you you. Be you. Be weird.
Be weird. I think there's just like, life's too short to try and like, to just be mean and be cool. Like, not saying being cool is mean, but like, just like, you don't have to be a dick to be a cool person.
Fucking nice.
Do you know what I mean? And like, you may like dress cool or may act cool, but like, you can still be weird and you can still be nice and still be a result of all of that.
Your people will find you if yourself.
Big time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like just if you genuinely just try to be yourself, you'll find the people that want to be around you.
Definitely.
You know. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We bloody stretched that one out, didn't we?
Yeah, we did a bit.
Question number
fast 5.
Yeah.
Like a slow 5.
Yeah, slow 5. We're getting slow and moody.
Actually,
Yeah, go.
I want to say like one last thing on it. Like, so the thing, it was the love yourself question, right?
No, it was a heartbreak.
The heartbreak. Can I go back? Because I just remember this. So like, massive shout out to one of my best mates, Piers Wiley. This is the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, and it'll stay with me till the day I go. But he said, the reason like I love you so much is because you make me feel like I want to be like a better person. You make me feel like happy just being around you as a person. And I think that was a cool thing as well.
100%.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a cool thing to know.
And that's the power of being you, right?
Yeah.
Being a good human. Like it's when you get to experience that. You know, we talk about it a lot. Like Bid and I have got such a close crew of mates that we were all out for dinner on Friday night, and we're like, fuck, how good's this? Like we're sitting around and we're sharing the fact that we're all challenging ourselves and we're making these changes in our life to really get the best out of it, and you know, appreciating the fact that this life is so short. And we kind of said, well, like, how lucky are we that we've found this group of people who are on that journey together?
Big time, yeah, for sure.
It's the biggest blessing in the world.
Oh,
so find your people.
Yeah, dude, it's important. Like I was a huge loser in high school. I had 0 friends. Like, but now I don't, and I love my life and I love the people I have around me just because it took a bit of time. But like, I feel like if you just yourself. Stay true to yourself over the amount of time that you have, you will find your people.
100% you will.
Yeah.
Huge. That could be the key takeaway from this.
Yeah. There you go.
Number 4. What's one of the harshest lessons that life has taught you?
That's far.
It's a big question.
It's a big
right?
question. I think hardest lessons, like getting rejected necessarily doesn't mean it's like it's your fault. Like no, how do I put this into words? Like, can I stew on what you just said? Hit me with it.
Because this, for me, the first thing that come to the front of my mind before when you told me about your X Factor journey is, and I'm not saying this because you're here, but Bid will attest to this. We were looking at your music the other day, and I was like, how the fuck that guy is not a superstar globally blows my mind, because your talent is incredible.
Cheers, bro.
And I think there's a few things, right? So one thing that I always say in content is, and I've heard it from someone else, I don't know who, but there's 3 things that make you incredible as a creator. One is your ability to educate, the other, your ability to entertain, and the third one is kind of God-given, but sometimes you can maneuver in your favor is your look. Yeah. And you're not an educator. I'm not either. But you're an incredible entertainer, and your look's fucking amazing. Like, you're a good-looking bloke. You dress well. You've got a vibe. You know, Duff Man was getting some shots of you as you rolled in, and you look cool as fuck. And I'm like,
if only you knew.
You've got those 2 things, and I'm like, it blows my mind that you're not this guy that we're all fucking seeing on the charts and you know, seeing fucking picking up these awards over in the US. And
like a lot of people say that, but I think, you know, you just have to wait and just keep getting ready for that day until it comes. Like, keep practicing, keep playing shows. Like, you got to do your, as I said, like your 10,000 hours. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you have to before you can be ready to be that. Like, everyone's like, oh wow, you're famous right now. I was like, bro, like, I don't know. But like, all I'm going to do is just going to keep working until I get to a stage where I'm like, okay, I've made it. I've done what I've succeeded in what I think I've succeeded in. Yeah. Like, you know, like when they asked me, I was like, I don't know what the fuck to say. Like, why am I not where I'm like playing in like to massive thousands of people yet? It's like, because it's just not my time yet. And it will come. It's just the amount of work that I have to put in before I get there.
So is that the lesson maybe with rejection?
I think, it's just like, I mean, I guess don't take rejection too personally. Yeah. Would be one of the things, because like, you know, the amount of times like you think you're going to get a gig, you think you can get a part, you think you're going to get something, or you tell someone you like them, they don't like you back. It's just like, sometimes it's not you, sometimes it's just them. And you have to take away the feeling from the rejection. Just like, hey, like, this isn't me. I've done the best I can do. You just have to be proud of what you've done. I think because I've been, like, you know, getting rejected has just been a really tough time. But then having the confidence to come back is probably the hardest thing, and that's what I was trying to get at before. Like the giving up isn't the right thing to do necessarily. You just have you get rejected, you assess why, and then you think, okay, giving up would be the worst thing to do here. Coming back is the hardest thing to do, but it's like it's the best thing to do, because then you only get better from where you were. If that makes sense.
100% it does.
Yeah.
100% it does.
Try to put that into words.
And no, I think everybody understands that in some way, shape, or form, and it's a lot of the time it's just the ego that controls that. You know, I've spoken about it a heap in the last few episodes, like the ego of telling someone how you really feel, or like expressing
It sucks.
what you want, or like it's hard.
Yeah,
man.
bro.
It's hard.
Big time.
Like, but when you do, and like you let that, you understand that it's kind of out of your control.
It is. That's what I was trying to get a point.
You can only do so much. Like you keep doing you, and you keep putting 100% in, and eventually it will happen.
Yeah, you just gotta get back on it. And
then you're fucking stronger for it when it does.
That's what I was trying to say. Just like getting defeated is one thing, and that sucks. But the hardest part is getting back up and going for it again.
Definitely.
That's kind of what I think I was trying to say with that.
No, I love that. Great answer.
Thank you.
The last one is one that I think you'll vibe with this question.
Hit me with it. I'm ready. Do you know the questions already?
I told him before.
This guy.
Yeah. So I told him.
Insider.
One thing that I love is I think the people we look up to really says a lot about who we are. And I know that you would probably say Fitz put his hand up.
Dude,
what a goose!
Get him out of here.
He's never allowed in this studio.
Can't have him in here. Just like I'm that.
He's never allowed in here again, eh? You know, I know you'd probably talk about your family and your parents and those sort of people, but let's talk more so creators and entertainers. So, what creators or creative storytellers, entertainers have inspired you to be not only the entertainer you are, but the person that you are?
Okay, that's wow. So first of all, I'd say like obviously shout out to my family, like, you know, because as I said, I wouldn't be who I am without them. But I think Ed Sheeran, believe it or not, I was obsessed with him when I was younger. Yeah, I was like, this is the coolest dude you'll ever meet ever. I was like, because he was just so real, and he was so little guy from, you know, Dublin, I'm pretty sure. Can't really remember. Yeah. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I used to be like a massive fan, not so much anymore. But he was just like, he was doing what I wanted to do. He was like, you know, he would busk his little arsehole. He played shows to no one, you know. And I think a lot of that is like he just did his groundwork. He did what he needed to do to get to where he is now. And I think like that motivation is like, yo, like it will happen. It'll come true. Like I met him when I was short interlude. My grandma used to work with his uncle in the ER in a hospital back in England, right? And so when he came to Australia, my grandma emailed his uncle and said, "Can Ed Sheeran meet my grandson?" Fucking love you, Mer. You're probably not going to hear this, but you're an absolute G. My grandma's name's Mer. And so she set that up for me, and I met him, and like, he was just the nicest guy, and he was just so down to earth. I gave him my little CD that I had at the time. I was like 15 or whatever, and I gave it to him, and he's like, I gave it to him, and it was like the only thing he ever wanted. He didn't, he obviously didn't listen to it, didn't care about it, but it just gave me like, yo, like he was something I aspired to be like.
That's sick.
You know, and then growing up, I stopped listening to his music as much, but the values were still there. And then I started like running into like, you know, like the 1975, we as a band, we really relate to, like music wise, and just like Matty Healy, like the way he presents himself in regards to his ideologies about like life and stuff like that. It's just, and the way he writes lyrics and how he kind of pulls in what's happening in society and all that and relays it back into his music is an amazing thing to be able to have, I guess, control over. Yeah. So like for me as a lyricist, as someone that like wants to kind of understand the world a bit more and be able to write better, I think that's a huge part of like me trying to become a better musician, is from that area of a lyricist, of someone that like is more, you're telling a story. Because if you listen to a lot of their lyrics in a lot of their songs, it's referencing a lot of the stuff that's happening in the like modern day society. You know what I mean? And so like be able to do that and write a fucking banger of a song, you're like, damn, and you listen to it, you can like watch his geniuses, whatever the fuck the word is, and like everything means something, and like that's what, like, instead of like, you know, writing not as like just, you know, come over, God love the song, I wrote it and I'm very proud of it, but like, you know, that didn't mean much. It was point A, girl, boy, blah blah, sing. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean.
You just reminded me as well.
Yeah, good.
The song that I'd heard. I had it up.
Ah, there we go. But yeah, we play it.
So it was...
Hit me with it.
Fuck, Wi-Fi. Give us a sec, guys.
But yeah, so like, been trying to put way
Close
more...
to you.
Hey, okay, huge.
Yeah.
So like, that was that... So from like... So you had like... Come Over Lady, Scared of Being Alone. I think really cool little songs, but like, it was just a journey on like... I'm not like, as I said, like I'm not the best writer. I know I can be better, but like being able to learn and understand and listen to and observe and how to write better is a huge thing for me. So like with the next couple of songs coming, like I'm really trying to pay more of an attention to the songwriting because you know, yes, it's a song, but it's also a story and about how it makes you feel. So I think like getting the inspiration from that is probably a massive inspiration just for me. Yeah.
I love that.
There you
And
go.
so there is a bit of stuff coming.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
You guys don't even know. Like, nah, we got shows in Melbourne and Brisbane, hopefully with COVID depending, and then got a bunch of new songs coming out, videos coming out, like just content, like just drip feeding it.
When's
the next-
Melbourne?
What day is it? I will leave for it on Friday morning.
I leave on Tuesday.
Sure.
Down to Melbourne.
Yeah, there you go. How long are you there for?
A week.
Okay, I'm there. I come to the Northcote.
Yeah, fuck, where's that?
I honestly,
Well, I
I've
think
never been to Melbourne.
I actually think there's a suburb Northcote.
It's
north
Northcote.
of
It's a
the
Northcote
city.
hotel or something like that. I couldn't tell you to save my life. Literally never been, so don't sue me. But we're
What
playing.
date?
We're opening for a guy named Josh Cashman, who is fucking beast, by the way. Go look at his shit. And we're opening for him because we did last Thursday, and we were on his tour. So we're playing. He's opening a Melbourne stand-up show, 250 people, and that's on the Friday the 27th. I want to say. Yeah, 27th. So literally like.
Oh, I'm not down there.
Yeah, so like that's a shame. But it is what it is. If you're in Melbourne, I mean, this is definitely not going to be out before then. But if you saw it and you saw this, amazing. Double whammy for you.
I like it. Past tense. Bro, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey man,
this has
pleasure to
been
be here.
incredible. It's exciting because for me, like, I feel like I've really got to know you now.
That's it.
Like, we've only really met once in person
literally.
before.
Hey, was at the beach.
Yeah,
I think.
and it was for like
that
5 minutes.
And it was like, hey, I've heard a lot about you. Hey, I've heard a lot about you. Have a great day. Bye.
These guys were off to a festy and I was off to sit at home and watch Netflix. You know my vibes.
Absolute value every time.
But yeah, bro, it's been really cool because I feel like we've gotten to know you heaps.
Yeah, I appreciate
it.
it.
I love what you're doing. And I mean this. I'm really excited for you because I think you've got a huge future.
Cheers, bro.
I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to come and experience it and be a part of it and jump in some of these shows and watch and be in that audience and get that experience and give you that feedback that I know you love. Yeah. And I want to make sure that every single one of you listening, watching, tuning into this episode gets to head on over there and follow that and support that journey. So you better believe that all of the handles are linked here in the description. Yeah. That any relevant info will be there in the description. And please make sure you do that. Head over, follow these guys, follow Ellis, follow Loretta, and become a fan. I'm a fan. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. You're a legend. You're a legend. And to everyone listening, watching, make sure you hit that all-important subscribe button. Share it around. Give us a 5-star rating and review.
Do it.
You know we love those when they come through. You know what? Give us a review. We'll gas you up on the pod. And I hope you're enjoying the new branding. I hope you're enjoying the way that this is rolling out now. There's big plans. I've burnt the fucking boats. They're at the bottom of the sea. They're burnt to a crisp. We're on the island. We're here to take it now. There's no going back. Everything's been thrown into this. This is my life now. I love it. I love every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. One thing I will say on the way out is this ain't the experience anymore, which means I'm not the experience. So I put the call out there the other day, what should my nickname be? And it was actually a mutual friend of all of ours, Mrs. Indy Star, who said she's rolling with the captain. So fucking catch us later.
Aye, aye.